Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. So today we have the next pack of Nissan Skyline from the Fast and Furious franchise, or Too Fast, Too Furious. We've got quite a few large parts today. We've got some shiny parts, and I believe we are mounting the engine to the main chassis that we've already been working on. So that's going to be pretty good. If you do want to get this for yourself, if it's still available, there are links in the description below, so please do check those out. But let's get into it. Let's get building.
Welcome to the workshop. Tools are ready to play. We're gonna build something great, starting here today. Piece by piece we go now.
Right, so we're kicking off with issue 33 of the Skyline. Now, you can obviously see that I've got all the parts up at the moment because I think what we're doing today is primarily concentrating on building up this front end of the car. Now, I did say there are a few large parts in this pack, but we're going to start off with something quite small. So that was a little bit of a tease, but you'll see the larger parts as we progress through this pack. So, as usual, I'll give you a quick flick through the magazines, because they are really good magazines. They tell you all about the car and Nissan heritage, etc. It's really, really good. It doesn't just concentrate on the Fast and Furious movies, which is really good. And so we've got the brake servo that we're putting together today. And you can see that we are adding it to the bulkhead that we had in the previous issue. And then it looks like we've got a pipe adding into the chassis frame as well. And then we've got that at the end of it. And we're going to kick off with this piece and this cap. And all we're doing is pushing this cap in here. Now it is just a circular hole, so there is no orientation for it. But we've got that looking like that. And then we need to take our firewall, move it this way around. We're going to be placing it into this D-shaped hole just here. And again, this has also got a D-shaped lug, and we're just pushing it in like so. Next up, we have our brake cylinder. Now we do need to make sure this is the correct way up. That's going to go just in here. We've got two lugs on there, two holes here. I'm going to push that in to those two holes, like so. Now we need it with this little nipple on the upper part. And we're going to secure it from the back with two AP screws. Now, from the looks of it, we've only got these screws. So I'm guessing that most of this, if not all of it, is all just push fit, apart from this piece. So only going to plastic, so no oil for this bit. And you don't want to do it too tight, because what you end up doing is just stripping the plastic out of the threads that you're creating. So just tight, and just maybe a slight tweak up just to make sure it's not loose on there. So we've got that looking like that. Next we have the brake pump, and that's going just in the brake servo. Again, just a push in, and I'm pretty sure that's all it's going to be today, or certainly for this this stage. I'm just going to use the back end of my tweezers head to make sure that's pushed fully in. So that's looking like that. We then have this white piece, which I think is the reservoir. And just checking if it's got an orientation. It looks like it's symmetrical to me at the minute. Oh, it does have a little bit of a lean, so it leans away from the bulkhead. That's just pushing in there like so. And we have this nice yellow cap to finish that one off. Again, just going to push that on top like so. Now we actually got two pipes with this. I think it's the shorter one we're using first. And this is going to be the fuel line. Now we actually need to put that to one side and bring over our chassis. Now we have two small nipples just here, and it's going on the innermost one, like so. And then we're tracing it along to the outlet of the nitrous oxide tank just there, like so. Now that is actually really loose on there, so that might need gluing. It's pretty good on this one, but if that comes out, then I'll probably end up gluing that one. We need to take our longer one, and that's going on the other nipple at the back there. And then that's going on to the little nipple just here. So we've got those two lines running like so. Now I do realise I've got the seats in there, but I don't need those. I just put them there as storage. But so we've got those like that. Next we have the vacuum pump. So this one is just going into the hole just here. Just going to push that down like so. So we've got its two lugs just pointing out there. Next we have this silver piece. And we've got the silver cylinder. And that's just going to push onto there, like so. And then this is mounting just on the two sections here. So it's just, again, push fit on that, like so. And that is all we have to do in that stage. Right, so moving on to issue 34, and as you can see, we do have one of the larger pieces there that we've got. It is worth noting, issue 33, we were told to keep this little clip to one side. So I've left that in that packet for a minute. I don't know if we're using it in this pack or whether it's further on down the stage. But moving on to 34, and again, just a quick flick through the magazine. And there is quite a lot to do, I think, in this pack. So we've got lots more details to add. And as you can see, we are mounting the engine. And at the end of it, we're going to have this, including our radiator mounted as well. So to start off with, we've got this little yellow cap. And this is for the windscreen washer reservoir. And that's going to push into the top of that reservoir, like so. It's quite a stiff fit, so that's not going to be falling out anytime soon. Bring our chassis over, and we have this lug, and that's going to be sitting just in that space there. So just push that in nice and firmly. There we go. And that is a firm push. That's not going to come out anytime soon. And then we've got this piece, which I believe is possibly the battery. It's only got a positive and negative showing on it. And it looks like with the positive facing towards the front of the car. Trying to work out where this is actually going to go. Yeah, have I got this piece in the wrong way around? I think this piece goes that way. And then this sits in that space there. Now I know when I fitted that bracket in, I said to put that bit on after the fact. So I probably did put that on the wrong way around, or it's fallen off in the meantime. Don't know which. But take that one off for the minute. because then we can push this one down. And it's only got 2 lugs on the back, and it will only go in one way. Right, so put that one back on there. It says. So we've got that one back in there, like so. We then have this silver piece. I'm sure these all have names. Airbox, apparently. We need 2 of these little red caps to go on there and there. And we've got this little silver cap as well with some bit of detailing on. I don't know if the camera will focus on that so small. But that's pushing into that bit there. Like so. And then we've got this one setting into the 2 holes you've got there. And again, just push it down, make sure it's all the way down. So we've got that looking like that. Right, we've got these 2 pipe fixings. And this says to secure them. Now, there's nothing. It's not going to secure anything to anything. So I think it's just a case of secure them together, make them look neat. So just going by the picture, we've got one here close to this end, and then looks like one about halfway along, just before this sort of bends away. So I'll just clip those together like that. I realise it's black on black, it may not be a little bit difficult to see. Right, so now we're at the point of mounting our engine. So we're just going to pop that in like so. Now, actually, what I'll do, before I put that in, I will just show you, there's a couple of little mounting lugs just here and here. And we want the 2 engine mounts, one there and one there, to sit nicely on those 2 mounts. And as well as doing that, we have this air in box, and that's going to push into the hole into the side of the chassis. Just going to remove that piece again because it's going to be easier to try and get this pushed in. Now again, that's quite a stiff fit. Right, so we've got that one, pushed it all the way in. Place that one back in place. Hopefully that's the last time I need to remove that, but it does make it easier. Take that one out. And we're now going to secure that in place through those 2 holes that I showed you using the AM screws. And first time going into metal, so I'm going to use a bit of oil. Now, you might need a slightly longer reach screwdriver to get down in between the engine. It's going to be impossible to capture this on camera, which is why I showed you the holes prior to me putting these in. But we've got the silver bit of the engine on top of the black part of the chassis. And we're just lining those 2 holes up and putting a screw all the way through. And I'm just going to place that bit back in place that fell off. So that is actually our engine mounted. I don't know if I can show you from underneath or not. That we've got the screws just in there and in there. I'll just reattach this air pipe. Now we do have a little recess for that to sit in, just on the engine mount there, or in the chassis. So just make sure that's pushed all the way in, and we now have obviously a location where we know where that one goes. We now have this air pipe, and it is going onto that little nipple of that silver pipe. So just in there. Now that will need some glue because that is incredibly loose. That's never going to stay there. Now I will just double check that is where it's meant to go. It is. So I'm just going to put a small drop of super glue on there, and then get that pipe down in there. And just give that a second just to go off. And once that's in there, we need to bend it and shape it so that it will go onto that red connector just there, like so. And even with that glue, it's still trying to come off that pipe at the bottom. And for the other side, the other red connector, we have this longer silver pipe. That's going to go there, and we need to take another one of these red connectors. That's going to go in the end of that pipe there as well. And then this is going to go and attach to the top of this engine, just on this black part here. Just like that. We're now going to take our radiator that we built up in the last pack, and we're going to be attaching that to the engine as well. Now it sits into a couple of small channels just under the engine or under the chassis rails, just there. So we're going to pop that in like so. Now we do have these two pipes here that we need to connect up to here and here. So just try and get that bottom one in first, and then line the top one up as well. Get those pushed in. Like that. And then from underneath, we just tip that over. We have two SM screws to go in there. And flip back the right way up, and that is our radiator mounted. And the last things we need is our last black pipe. We need to just put that onto the nipple of the radiator. And what I'm going to do is take the cap off and put it on, because that's going to be easier. And then we'll just reassemble that cap and push it into place. So we now have that pipe on there like so. Now we did have this large part, we're not currently using it. But that is all there is to do in that stage. So, moving on to issue 35. And we do have some large parts with this stage as well. So, front part of the bodywork. So it looks like we're putting a lot more shiny pieces together. We're adding more details to the engine. And it looks like we are starting on the front chassis bumper assembly as well. So the first thing we're going to be doing is taking this piece and this piece, and we're just going to be placing that in. Doesn't have a shape, so just matching up the picture with where this little nipple comes out, which looks to be roughly like that. So we've got this one coming off here, and that one's coming off sort of like, I don't know, 4 o'clock, something like that. And this is going straight into the car. Now, this would have been an easier job without the radiator in place, but we have to put it into the hole on this pipe, just in there. It probably would have been easier without this pipe in the way. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove that pipe, like that. Grab my tweezers, and then I should be able to push that into place a little bit easier, like so. So we've got that in there, like that. And then we can just replace this pipe. Leave that to one side for a moment, because we have a lot of shiny parts now. And the first shiny part we need is this piece and this piece. And that is just going to place into there. It's got 3 lugs on the back. We just need to line that up with the holes and push that into place. That is then looking like that. You need to do a similar thing with this one. Again, just line up the lugs and push them together like that. And then going to join those 2 parts together. We've got a D-shaped hole and a D-shaped lug, and we're just going to push those together like that. So we've got that nice looking pipe, and we even have this little bit of detail on the outside there. It says twin turbo, looking very nice. And this is going on to the engine. So if we move this air box out of the way, we have 2 lugs. Hopefully, in fact, actually what I'm going to do, no, I won't remove that because that'll be a bit of a pain to get back in place. Hopefully you can see it, but we've got a lug just here, and we've got a lug just there. That is where these 2 will be going. And we even have little recess in the bodywork there, and that's where that's going to be accepted. So one lug lined up, other lug lined up. This might have been easier before the engine was mounted as well. Just going to use my tweezers just to support that bit I'm pushing this into, because we don't want to break it off this side of the engine. But that is in there like so. We're going to place that to one side because we don't need that anymore at this stage. And we're going to get this piece. Now this is a good large chunk of metal, and this is basically the front section or front sub-assembly of where the front bumper etc. will mount. And we're going to start off with turning this over, and we have these L brackets. Now I'm just trying to work out if there is a right and a wrong way. they look like they're pretty much symmetrical in their makeup. And we're basically just going to get these L brackets and we're going to place them just here. And we're going to secure those in place with a CM screw. So one just going in there. And then the other one over here. And these brackets are also metal, just so you know. Now the instructions do say that these have got a shorter side and a longer side, but as far as I can see, there isn't a shorter and longer side, but I may be proved wrong. But we'll see. I did just line them both up together, and they seem to be exactly the same. We're not doing anything else with that one in this stage. So we're moving on to this piece here. This is just a bit of plastic. Couldn't tell you what it is. This is for the horns. So it's the horn mount and the horns themselves. And we're just going to push those onto these two little lugs. One there. And one there. And then we do have these two supports, which we're not doing anything with this time around. And that is all we have to do in that stage. So we are moving on to issue 36. And as you can see, we have another pack of big shiny parts. And we're doing more front of the bodywork, and I believe these are all parts of the intercooler, and that looks like a strut brace as well. So we're going to be using the part we've just used, and we're going to be mounting some parts of that, and we're actually going to be mounting that to the vehicle. We've got the intercooler to mount, and a few nice carbon fibre decorative pieces for the airbox. It's going to look absolutely fantastic. And by the end of it, we have this. And we've just got the strut to keep to one side. So the first thing we're going to need is our fan surround and our fan. And that's just going to go in there, onto that lug, like so. And we're going to be mounting it this way around, just into that little recess there. And we're going to use an AM screw for that one. Lots of AM screws in this pack. And that's just mounted in like so. Then going to take our horns, and that's just going to sit into, we've got a little recess there, it's going to sit in that recess, and we've got a screw hole down here, and again another AM screw will hold that one in place. So we've got the front section looking just like that. Now I'm just going to push that to one side because we're now mounting this to the front of the car. Now we've got a couple of holes at the front of this rail, and we've got two holes just here, and obviously these little recesses. So that's just how that's going to sit on, like so. We've also got these two tabs that we put on. They need to sit into those two recesses as well. I have to trap that radiator cable. Just want to make sure that gets pulled out. Got it pushed all the way in, like that. And then we've got two AM screws to go in through there. And we've got two AM screws to go in through the top here. Now, depending on how visible these are. I might end up painting these screws silver. We shall see. Do need to make sure that you have this all fully lined up. And then we've just got two going into the sides here. One there. And one just in here. Now, we do need our radiator clips from the previous issue. And they're just going to be pushed into the two holes you see here. So one there and one there. And then the same on this side, just in there and in there, like that. So that's looking pretty good at the front there. We're now going to move on to a section of the intercooler. And we're going to be placing this onto the two lugs just there. Now it's going to go this way around, and I believe this way up. And we're going to secure that in again with more AM screws. So just on the front like that. AM screw in there. Just going to leave that one loose for a minute so I can line up the other side. And that one in there. Now I'm going to hide those screws with this piece. And that's just going to push over the top of those lugs like that. That's looking just like that. Right, we now need this piece, which we had in issue 20. We also need this piece, and this is going to sit just on to that lug there. Now it does have a D-shaped hole and a D-shaped lug, so it will only go on one way around like so. Now I'm going to be placing that into the car. With the new part just there, we've got these two holes, we've got two lugs, and we've also got this pipe here. And that's just going to sit over those lugs like that and over that pipe. Just ensure that those all line up. And you guessed it, two more AM screws will hold that in place. We've got one in there, and one just going in there, like so. We then have these two parts looking very nice with their carbon fiber effect. And we're just going to sandwich those two together like that. And we've got two AP screws to secure those together. That is then going over this section here. We've got two holes there, we've got two lugs here. That's just going to sit into those two holes. So we've got that pushed down into there. That's found its own locating point into that airbox there. We then have the top of the airbox, and that's just going to push over the top. So we've got a couple of lugs going into these holes. Now, I do believe we want to capture this section as well, because you've got a little indent there for it. Right, I don't know about anyone else, but although that's got that little key shape to it, and we've got this little slot here, that pipe seems to be too short to go from the turbo down there, including hooking up to this silver pipe here, and also go into there. So I am not capturing that one anymore. I tried several times and it just comes out and becomes loose. So as much as I think it was designed to go into that point, it's just not going to fit. Right, we're now going to take this piece and we're going to line up the two pegs and also the two holes, like so. And we're going to use two QM screws in the front there to secure that in place. Now these are quite tiny screws, so I'm just going with pH 00 bit. We got one going in there. And one just going in to here. So we've got that secured in place. And then we have this hood rod. And that's going into that hole and this hole. Again, not trapping that cable. So we've got it in there, and that's just sitting into that tray as well. And we've got this little tiny shape on this one, so it goes that way around. And that is all there is to do in that stage. And as I said, we've got this brace left over. Now that would have been really good if that had been metal, but unfortunately it is plastic. So moving on to stage 37. And we have the rear subframe and brake lines. Now I was thinking that means maybe we've finished with that section of the car, but it looks like we've got the bulkhead to put in. And we've got lots of lines and cables to put in. Now it looks like we've got that little clip that we had from issue 33 to use as well. It looks like we do have 4 different lengths, maybe 2 very similar lengths, but we will get to that at some point, I'm sure. We'll figure out which one's which. In fact, the instructions actually do show them all as the same length, so that probably doesn't matter. Now, I will show you this piece first. This is the rear sub-assembly, and that is metal. We are going to be kicking off with these parts, again, also metal. Now, we do have parts marked left and right. So we've got right on that one. Just have a look. So we've got an L on there. You might just be able to see that. So that's a left. And by default elimination, that's got to be a right. So we've got a left and we've got a right. That's one side. So starting with the left one, we are placing this one here and this one just here. And we're going to use an OM screw to secure that in place. That'll be these longer ones here. So going from the outside in. So that's gone all the way through. Same on this side. So we've got that one looking just like that. Going to do the exact same thing for the right hand one. Again, just making sure that the hole is all lined up. So we've got those looking like that. Obviously they are opposites. Right, so we're going to be mounting these to this assembly. With those pins there, they're going to go in here. Now this is the left side. And the right one is going to go in here, same way. Like that. Just make sure they're pushed all the way in, all the way down like that. And we're going to use 4 CM screws, 2 in each side for that. And that's the last one just in there. So we now have the sub-assembly looking like that, with the left and the right that way around. Right, so we don't need that anymore, so we're just going to put that to one side. What we are going to do is pull over the bulkhead again. Now, as I said, all these lines in the illustration are the same length. So I am going to treat them as the same length. And we've got the 4 cables, and they're going onto the 4 points you see here on this brake valve. Right, so we've got all 4 of those on there like that. Now we do need to retrieve a couple of parts from issue 32, and that's these 2 silver pieces. Now these are the brake pipe mounting brackets, and we've got 2 holes here, 2 holes here, and we need to run these cables so they will be captured by those 2 brackets, and they go along the wall there. Just get the second one pushed in. So we've got those cables going along just like that, and then we've got the 4 tails just there. Right, next we've got a couple more pipes to fit, and I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to show you this. But right down in the depths of the engine, on the side of this cylinder block, there is a place to put this pipe. Now it might be easier for me to put it on and then show it a little bit better in the camera, and then at least you'll see roughly where it goes. So with any luck, you can just about see down in there where that pipe just hooks into the side of the cylinder block. It goes right next to what I think is the oil filter, the little blue capped item. And now we've done that, this pipe then needs to come and attach to this little brake reservoir. Not brake reservoir, but vacuum pump I think it is. And it just needs to go on there like so. Although I think actually it needs to come up through the manifold from what the instructions say. So let's do that. So it's coming up through the gap of this manifold here, and then going straight across to that pump there, like so. And then we've got this shorter pipe, and that's just going to attach there, like so. And we're leaving that end free for the moment. We're now going to get our bulkhead, and we're going to be placing that in here. So we've got 2 points here. We have 2 points on the chassis, just there and there, and that's just going to slot in. Obviously, avoiding these cables that we just put in. And making sure we're not trapping those brake lines that we've just put in as well. Right, so we're going to get that down in place like so. And then we've got 2 CM screws to hold that in place. It's probably best viewed on the top camera. So we've got one just going in there. And then the other just in here. So that's looking just like that. Now we need to attach all 4 of these pipes to the 4 points on here. Now there is an order to do it. However, if you're tracing this all the way through, then yes, there probably is an order. However, I'm not going to try and work out which one's which on here. But there should be. So I'll tell you what the instructions say. So from this back section, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on this section here, they want us to do it in this order: 1, 2, 3, 4. I personally am going to take potluck. Partly based on the length of the cables as well, because I say one of these is really short and that's never going to reach there. So I'm going to put that shortest one on there. I'm going to take the longest one that I've got. I'm going to pop it down and then put it on this one here. Now already that means it's out of order, because I know I put the shortest one on 1 or 4, and the longest one was on 1 or 4. So one of these might be right, one might be wrong. But no one's ever going to trace that back and say, oh, you got one of your leads in the wrong place. So I'm doing it as they fit. And yes, if I'd read ahead in the instructions, I could have probably labelled these or marked them in some way. But no one's going to know. That's got 4 leads on there, like that. We now need to take our free end of this one, and that's just going to go onto the brake servo housing. I'm going to try and run it underneath that one. I'm just going to run that on like that. So that one is just on there now. Right. In fact, actually, this one is going to be held by this clip that we had earlier. Now, this clip fits into the brake cylinder or brake servo, like so, and then that hose is going to clip into there like that. So we have that one looking just like that. And that is all there's to do in that stage. Right, so here we are, the last one of this build pack, issue 38, and I don't think we're doing anything more with that part of the car. Not in this build pack anyway. I think we've done quite enough with that one. So we're doing the rear knuckles. And we're going to end up with something that looks like that at the end of it. Now, all those big parts, and we're ending up with a pack of small parts. We also have quite a few screws to get through for these ones. And they're all M screws, it looks like. So lots of metal involved, and that's going to mean that most of this, if not all of it, is all metal. Now again, some of these are going to be marked with left and right, so that's a right. So that one's going to be a left. That's a right. That's a left. And it is always worth doing this and double checking and then getting them in the right piles. You're less likely to make a mistake then. So that's another left. And that's a right. Now these look generic, so I'm not expecting a left and right on these ones. Nope, they are all identical. So we're going to start with the left one. And with our knuckle this way up, and this piece this way up, that is going to sit in there, like so. And we're going to secure that with two of these brackets, one there and one there. And we're going to use 4 AM screws to do that. So we now have that assembled like so, with this little piece pointing out like that. And flip that over this way. I'm going to take this piece. Now there is a key-shaped pattern. I'm going to place that on there, and we're going to use one of the AIM screws to secure that in place. Just like that. Right, so last part of our left assembly, with it this way up on that piece we've just put in, we're going to place this arm, and we're going to use a GM screw to secure that in place. Right, so we've got that looking like that. Now I did have a bit of a problem with mine. This hole isn't very straight. So what happened is when it got to the other side, it started flaring out. So I've ended up putting the screw in from the other side. It seems to work absolutely fine. Hopefully that won't foul on anything. If it does, I might have to look at redoing that at some point in the future. Right, we are going to be mounting this now. Again, we've got this keyhole pattern here. We've got a keyhole pattern on here. And we're just going to put that arm into that hole there. I just need to loosen that one up a little bit, just to get that to go in and line up. And we have an RM screw going through there. And we're going through from this side. Again, just make sure the holes are lined up. And we'll get that one through. That's in there like so. And then we've got a CM screw to secure that one in place. Like so. And then now we're going to be basically doing the exact same thing, but for the right hand side. So again, we've got this piece. We've got these 2 brackets that's going to hold that in place, and 4 AM screws to help secure that. So, last of the AM screws going in there, like so. And then we have this piece going in here. Again, got that keyhole shaped pattern, and the AIM screw is going to go in there. Just like that. And again, off of that one, we're using this little dog bone shaped thing, and that's going to go in there. And we're using the GM screw for that one. And that's going to go through from this side. Like so. That one has gone in much better. And then, as we did with the other one, that's going to sit in there into that little keyhole shaped pattern there, and secure that one with the RM screw and then a CM screw for the underside. So that one in there. And then the CM screw going in just here. And that is all there is to do in that stage, and all there is to do in that build pack. Now it is quite interesting. It looks like they have actually got the rear wheel steering there, which is quite good. But that's another small chunk of metal. But this is looking absolutely fantastic. Right, well that's another pack of the Skyline done. Look at that. I don't think I've worked on a car with a more detailed front end. That looks absolutely amazing. I can't believe that we'd fit anything else to that, but it looks like we've got a couple more holes at the top here. So there's probably going to be a couple of things that we need to add back into there. Obviously, we do have this strut brace, and that's clearly just going to sit across there. I'll just put that in place. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? But we also had this this plastic tray, which I've already worked out where it goes. It obviously sits just under there. There's obviously a reason why we haven't yet fitted that, but that's how that will sit. That's obviously like the front splitter. Whether that's one of the last bits we've put in or not, I'm not sure. But that's certainly got some weight to it. That whole front end is very unbalanced at the minute. There's like no weight to the back of that, and there's all the weight at the front of that engine. But really, really impressed with how that looks. Putting those extra bits of silver on it and everything, and all the chrome, looks really, really good. It feels like it's been a bit of a mammoth build, that, but I don't feel like I've done a great deal. But it does look amazing. I mean, it's something I'll probably just want to leave out now and just have on show, because it does look absolutely fantastic. If you want to see more of how that progresses and anything else that goes on the workshop, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding that bell, and then you'll be notified when I release new videos. I do have the 66 Batmobile coming up soon, so we are going to be extending the chassis on that one. So do make sure you're subscribed, and then you won't miss out on that. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next time, I'll see you around. Cheers.